Hey, howdy, Clayton Tucker here, running for the Texas State Senate District 24, right here in the heart of Texas. And we have a very simple motto on our campaign, and that's we're working hard for working Texans. As a former kindergarten teacher, water researcher, and healthcare advocate, I know the importance of us protecting and improving our public education, of creating thousands of good wind and solar energy jobs, and making sure all folks have usable healthcare. And of course, making sure that we get people out to the polls and educate the voters, which is our topic of today. Before introducing our guest, please like and share this video because your friends know about it. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat. We will be watching the chat live and we'll try to answer your questions live. And of course, please continue wearing a face mask out in public. So joining us today is Melvin Brown Jr., the president of the Clean Democrats. Welcome to the show, Melvin.
Thank you, Tucker. Glad to be here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's educate some folks.
Oh, yeah. So, Melvin, go ahead and feel free to quickly introduce yourself and tell us what inspired you to get politically involved.
Well, again, my name is Melvin Brown. Once a teacher, always a teacher. I was a teacher in the military. And once I got out of the military, I became a teacher here in KISD for the last 19 and a half years. And one of the things I want to do is get everybody educated and involved in the voting and electoral process because right now we are in some very serious, perilous times, and we really need to get people involved. So my goal right now is to educate as many people as I can to get them involved in the voting process, both as voters and working in the poll stations itself. So I'll be introducing a couple of websites so that people can get themselves involved without making excuses. One of my favorite terms is the maximum range of an excuse is 0 meters, popping, no bang. So we're going to give you the ammunition to become educated voters and participants in the voting process.
Okay. You've been in the clean community for quite some time, as an educator, as a resident. How has the community changed over the last several years? Has there been much of a change in terms of political engagement?
The political engagement has pretty much been low, so it hasn't changed that much. Over the last couple of years, I've been advocating a lot to get people more involved, but I understand that Killeen is a transient community with Fort Hood being the largest land-based military installation. So a lot of people involved in the military may be voting in their home of record and not necessarily here in Texas, which could attribute to our turnout rates being so low. So that's one thing. I have a master's degree in political science, so I've been interested in this for a while. So now I'm getting to put that into use.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is try to educate as many people as I can, recruit them to do the things that they can do and help Killeen grow. Killeen is growing. And at the local level, a lot of our current politicians are cognizant of that and they want to make sure that we can keep up with that growth. So we have to keep that going. We have people that's interested in bringing industry into the area. So we have to get them out there also. So there are a lot of things that's going to help the community because it is growing, but it has not reached its maximum potential. And that's what some of us are trying to do.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree about, really helping Clean reach its maximum potential. That's why, on our campaign, we've been working with other various candidates, Julie Oliver, Kiki, even Kim Wilkerson, from federal down to the state house and even state city councils to really figure out how do we best empower Clean. So one of the questions I'd like to ask you is how do we get people politically involved? How do we motivate them and inspire them to go to the polls?
Well, one of the things we have to do is just make sure that they are aware of the things that's going around. And I'm sure everybody's aware of what's going on. Right now, we have what is called voter suppression on steroids. Just if you just look at the news today and all the things that the different states are doing to keep people from voting, uh, it puzzles me why it is so hard to allow everybody that right to vote. But then again, it's been stated if we let them vote, we're going to lose, and there's not going to be another Republican elected for office anytime in the near future. But then again, that's their perception. But we, especially people of color, we've invested a lot into the voting process, and I'm doing my part to make sure that we are all benefiting from the work that's been done to date.
Hmm.
So I provide information as much as I can. I'll be talking about a couple of websites for military, civilian, and people of the area to get involved in the voting process.
Okay.
So I'll share with those later.
Oh yeah. So actually just before sharing those, I do have a quick question. Do you think Trump's recent comments about veterans will affect the vote in this area?
Say that one more time.
Do you believe Trump's recent comments about veterans, about being suckers and losers, do you think is that going to affect the vote in the clean area?
Most definitely, because those of us that he referred to as suckers and losers,
Hmm.
uh, we don't appreciate it at all.
Hmm.
We don't appreciate it at all. The guys that are still in uniform, they can't say too much about it. But those of us that's been there and done that, we have an obligation to do something about it. And he's going to lose bigly,
Hmm.
as he would say. He's going to lose bigly because of those comments. And so, yeah, I think
Hmm.
Florida's going to come out.
Excellent. So what are some of these voter resources you've been mentioning about military folks, and just really, you brought up the excellent point that clean really is a transient community, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time for people to really set roots here. So what are some of these resources for folks to learn about the political process and learn about the people running for office here locally?
Okay. Going back using my tools when I was on active duty, we had what is called the Federal Voters Assistance Program
Mm-hmm.
for active duty individuals. That's on post. So we haven't been able to do any voter registration drives here at Fort Hood. Uh, we've tried. So since we could not get on the installation, what I did was posted a website. It's fvap.gov / military how to. It's a short video that shows military individuals and their families what they have to do in order to request absentee ballots and voting ballots from their home of record, because a lot of people are voting at their home of record, uh, which causes our local turnout to be low. So what I
Mm-hmm.
did was provide them with a short video and the tools necessary to go online and request their absentee ballots as early as 10 minutes after we get off this
Yeah.
interview. So the resources are there. So that's what I provided in
Mhm.
that respect.
I'm actually so glad you provided that, because actually I have a friend who lives on base. They moved there maybe like a few months ago. I can't quite remember when, but they've been telling me that they've been trying to get registered to vote, and they've been having a lot of issues. Um, they didn't tell
Well,
me
they
too
will
much
go to
about
this
it, but
site. It is a federal government site.
hmm.
It's fvap.gov / military high tool.
Hmm.
And they will walk them through the process. And it's really, really simple. It's about a 6-minute video, but at the end of the video, you can actually go ahead and get yourself registered to vote. As far as the other citizens within Texas, the resource I provided was votetexas.gov.
Hmm.
You just go to votetexas.gov, pull it up, and you can see all of the different things that you can do to get registered. You can even find out if you're registered.
Hmm.
And like we said before, check your status, check your status, check your status. Well, that's how you check your status, by going to those two websites.
Hmm.
And if your status is incorrect, you can correct it as you sit there.
Hmm. And this is such important topics, because this is fundamental to everything that we do. I mean, if we want change of any sort of way, whether that is justice reform, healthcare reform, environment reform, or does even bringing industry, we have to first go to the ballot box. So Melvin, I actually do have a question for you, and that's, what would you like to see me as a Texas state senator do to really protect and expand the right to vote and the ease to vote for folks? What would you like to see me do?
Give those individuals that's in the state office that's putting up all these obstacles to
Mm-hmm.
voting, fight against those obstacles to voting. Because right
Mm-hmm.
now, our Attorney General, Texas Attorney General, every time you turn around, he's trying to block something that the legislators are doing to make it easier for people to vote. So if you can knock down some of those barriers, that would be great. Get
Hmm.
rid of those voter suppression tactics.
Oh
Once
yeah.
you get rid of those, the gates are going to be opened.
Hmm. Well, that's something I definitely will be fighting for, is just removing those obstacles. And I'm very much in favor of this automatic voter registration when you turn 18, and you move, whether you're, the moment you turn 18, you're registered to vote. And if you move, the moment you change your registration on anything as simple as your license, is just done. It's
Yeah.
easy. And because you're absolutely, and we need to reopen all the polling places that have closed, because I can't remember the numbers right off the top of my head, but it's an astounding number in the thousands of voting locations that have closed throughout the state of Texas. So,
And that's a good point because across the country, as you can see, some of the professional league owners are beginning to step up to the plate and say, hey, voter suppression's got to stop. I'm going to open up my arena. So, and that's great. You got a lot of the NBA teams, owners that's open up their stadiums, it's making it easier for people to vote, uh, helping with the COVID situation, social distancing. So
mhm,
that's what we need. That's what we need because, hey, people
mhm,
want to vote, but they don't want to risk their health in the process of doing it. And by opening up some of these major arenas, that's going to allow more people to be in an environment uh, that's going to be conducive to them voting
mhm,
and not being standing out in the elements.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, we really have to protect, people's health and safety should not be put at risk because of COVID-19. So completely, as you said, we really do have to protect, for instance, ballot by mail and mail-in votes, including protecting the post office, which, hey, when we get some good Congress folks up there, then that can definitely help. And once we get a new president, that'll also help. But, there's a lot of things we can do, and it's really applying pressure. Is Look, I mean, nothing changes unless we apply pressure. The system isn't going to change itself.
Yeah.
Um, Looks like actually Lorena just had a question. What can we do with voter apathy? That's a very excellent question. Melvin, what do you think? What can we do to really
Voter apathy,
strike at the heart of the voter apathy?
apathy.
Yes.
We just have to continue to talk to individuals to convince them that, hey, it's really not that hard to do because for every reason that they can give you for not voting or not wanting to vote, there is a simple and logical explanation to get around it. Right now, with technology being the way it is, hey, you've taken out a lot of the hard work. It's really there to do. And let's just look what happened in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
All those apathetic individuals that said, nah, you ain't going to worry about it. Boom. What do we end up with? It wasn't
Yeah.
the popular vote that got Trump in the office, it was the electoral vote. And those
Mm-hmm.
individuals in those electoral states that decided to stay home, guess what? They opened the door and he
Oh yeah.
went through it.
And
So by not voting, you're voting against your own interests. Because if you vote, you're going to make sure that you're going to vote for someone that has your interests at heart. But if you don't vote, you're going to end up with whatever you get. And then all you
mhm,
can do is sit back and say, I should have, I wish I could have, but it's too late. So,
mhm.
no, we need to get away with the apathy. And whenever they come up with that excuse, if we can provide a resource to combat or eliminate that excuse, that's what we need to do.
Absolutely. So looks like we got another question in the chat. This one is from Kristen. It says, Melvin, you lived through the civil rights movement. What are your thoughts on where we're at in America under Trump's rule and with the likes of Patrick Abbott and Don Buckingham who won't stand up to Trump?
Ah, yes, we've lived through it. I'm reminded of John Cornyn. Once I see him, and the last time I saw him in Galveston, because I'm a native of Galveston, Texas, and
Mm-hmm.
he's always shown up at the Juneteenth events. He's always shown up at the Juneteenth events. And what he's doing at the Juneteenth events is not reflective of what he has done or what he is doing in Congress. So we just have to hold those people accountable and let them know that, hey, we've been there, we've done that, we've watched you, you've seen what you've done and what your attitudes are. We are going to start holding you more accountable because, like I said, the younger generations are beginning to pick up on some of the things that those of us that's going through the civil rights movement, uh, they're beginning to pick up on some of the things that's going on, and they're seeing a difference, and
Mm-hmm.
they're beginning to step out, and that's what's happening right now. You're having the younger generations, the millennials, and all of those guys. They're stepping up and saying, "Hey, this is messed up.
Mm-hmm.
This is messed up.
Oh yeah,
You don't want to go there."
after the explosion of Black Lives Matter protests that happened really throughout the district, especially right after the murder of George Floyd. You had Black Lives Matter in Killeen with through Let's Move Killeen, wonderful folks. You had events in Temple. We had ones even in really rural counties like Lampasas and Fredericksburg. I know Kerrville and Abilene had them. The truth is all over, and most of these in Marble Falls, and most of these events were really organized by people in 19, 20, maybe in their 30s. So it was very, it was such a good thing to see that more and more people are getting involved. Do you think, um, the groups like Black Lives Matter and with the murder of George Floyd and all the other murder, like with Michael Dean, and the list unfortunately can continue on for a very long time. Do you think those will have an impact? These events will have an impact on voter turnout and clean.
In Killeen, I would think so. Uh, Killeen is coming along. Killeen has come a long way. Yes, you still have some of those that want to hold on to their old traditional ways and don't want to see the progress, but it's going to happen because you have people or hood from all over the world, different experience factors. So they bring a lot to the area and they're getting involved. Quite a few of the people that's running for city council are veterans
Mm-hmm.
from different places that's been transplanted here in Killeen in Bell County. And they're bringing some great and wonderful ideas. And as long as we are knowledgeable of those ideas, as we support them in their efforts, we will see the change for the better here in the Killeen area. Like I said, this place has grown tremendously over the years. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because of the people that we have from different parts of the country that's here and say, hey, I want to make this my home. And they're retiring here.
Mm-hmm.
And them retiring, they can see better ways for our county and city. And they want to implement some of those ideas. We just have to get out, find out what they want to do, how they think they want to do it, and support them by voting for the individuals that's going to help us grow.
Absolutely. Lorena just asked a really interesting question. I kind of want to hear your thoughts on this, Melvin. She's wondering, is not having a living wage does not having a living wage have an impact on voting?
Not really. Not really. How much does it cost you to fill out a ballot on your table and stick it back in the mail? How much does it cost you to drive to the polling station, fill out your ballot, or punch in the computer and send it in? So the voting process itself should not impact your ability to vote, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. That's just in my opinion, another reason for not voting.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't vote, you can't get that income increased because you're accepting the status quo. And the way you change the status quo is by making your voice heard, and you do that through voting. How much does it cost you monetarily? Not a lot,
Mm-hmm.
my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I do address Lorena's question. I very strongly support a living wage. I do very strongly believe one job should be enough. Will it have an impact on voting? It very well could. I mean, I'm very data driven. I like seeing numbers in the data. I could see where it could potentially affect it because I'm thinking of the people who do have to work multiple jobs from like just from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., for instance. Them finding a time to vote. I mean, I would need to talk to them to really know their lived experience. But that's a very excellent question, Lorena, and I think it's a question that we should really continue looking into and continue diving down into.
It
Jennifer.
would help if we made voting a holiday.
Oh
It
yeah.
would help if we made voting a federal holiday.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually a question Jennifer was just asking. Thoughts on making Election Day a national holiday? I'm completely for it. We'll call it Democracy Day. What do you think, Melvin?
Hey, I'm all for it. Make it a federal holiday.
Oh yeah. Now the real question is, what would we name that holiday? I mean, we could name it Democracy Day, or what other names do you think we could call that holiday?
Mm.
And everyone else, put it in the chat. What do you think that holiday should be called? National holiday for voting. We could call it. Well, I don't know if this is what Kristen's answer is, but I think it would be funny. It could be a Melvin hashtag no excuses Brown Jr. holiday.
I'd have to think about that for a while.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Melvin, are there any other good resources, or kind of what are the Clean Democrats up to these days? I mean, I know COVID has definitely complicated a couple of our voter outreach and voter registration, but what has the Clean Democrats been up to?
Right now, we're gathering information and putting it out. We're being involved in different activities. Like on the 19th of September, we're going to have another voters drive. It's called the Voter Palooza. It's going to be 7 cities here in the area. I will be the team captain for Lions Park and Taco Bell here in Killeen. So we have 2 locations in Killeen, 2 in Harker Heights, 1 in Belton, and possibly 2 in Temple. So we'll be putting that information out very soon. The other thing that we're trying to do is encourage people to become poll workers and deputy voter registrars. We put on training events to get those done. So now that we got COVID going on, you can now do that online and don't have to go to a specific facility. And you can find that information on sos.texas.gov. There you can become certified to be a deputy voter registrar or a poll worker. So we're putting that information out and actually recruiting some of the younger individuals to get involved in the process. Pretty much like we did back on the 31st of January when we got all the young people involved. And I think during that process, that's when I picked up the old virus itself, and it knocked me out for a couple of weeks. And I had to call all you guys and say, hey, you was at the skating party, get checked out. It just knocked me out for the month.
I remember that. I mean, that we all got, a whole lot of us got sick immediately after that event. And with the strangest sickness I ever had, I had a hard time breathing. I completely lost my sense of smell and taste for like 2 weeks. So it was
because of our dedication and fortitude, we survived.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have to live long enough to vote. So if anyone sees like anything kind of fishy going on in the elections with polls or anything, is there a hotline people can call or people can reach out to if anything?
Yes, there is a voters hotline that you can call. I don't have that information in front of me right now for the hotline.
So it does look, we will be posting that in the chat. It does actually look like it's the election protection hotline, 866-687-8683. Again, we'll be putting that in the chat. So if anything weird's going on, something doesn't quite seem right, that is the election protection hotline. So give it a ring, and I mean, we gotta protect the vote, and we have to get people out to the vote. And I really want to thank you, Melvin, for taking your time to really share a whole bunch of wonderful information. I know I definitely learned about some of these resources will be very useful for me, and I'll make sure a couple of my friends I know definitely need it. Do you have any wrap-up thoughts, or how can people get involved with the Clean Democrats?
Yeah, well, let me go back just a moment to talk about what you said a few minutes ago. If you see something, say something. We just saw that exercise here in Bell County recently. They
Hmm.
hired a public information officer, and once the citizens found out who this individual was, I think she ended up resigning 3 or 4 days later because the people spoke up. They saw something, they didn't
Hmm.
like what they saw. They contacted the appropriate individuals who may or may not have done their due diligence in the selection process, but the citizens, once they saw what was going on, said, hey, we need to go back and look at this. So that individual promptly resigned from that position. So that just shows the power or the impact of your voice if you use your voice. You see something, say something, call that hotline.
Hmm.
And the last question was what now?
How, if people want to, if folks want to get involved with the Clean Democrats, what's the best way for them to get involved?
Uh, Go to our Facebook page, Clean Democrats, and you'll see all the things that we're doing and things that you can get involved with. Or you can contact me, Melvin, at, not don't use that, go melbro76.com,
Mhm.
melbro76 at yahoo.com, and I can get you information. Or you can put it directly on the Clean Democrats Facebook page, and
Mhm.
we'll get back to you within a day or two.
Okay. That all sounds good. And if anyone has any other questions about getting involved, you can reach out to my campaign and we'll easily direct you all to Melvin and the Clean Democrats. Because I mean, what we're doing here is building a movement. Because this is what it's going to take. It's going to take more than one campaign. It's going to take more than just one entity. It takes all of us as a team working together, and that's why I'm so proud, so happy, and so proud to have Melvin to be working alongside with folks like Melvin. I mean, look, you wonderful source of information, and I cannot think of better company to really be fighting for change. So again, thank you, Melvin, for
All
joining us,
righty.
and thanks
We're
for everyone.
fighting voter suppression on steroids. That's what we're fighting right now.
Oh yeah, we're fighting for the very heart and soul of our democracy. Because they're going to do everything they can to steal it. So if you want to join us in our fight for democracy, please do. Please go to tuckerfortexas.com. Help us stand up and really stop voter suppression. Really get out the vote. We've made tens of thousands of voter contacts. We have tens of thousands more to go. So become one of our phone bankers. If you can, pitch in so we can send more mailers, reach more folks, and really get out the vote. This is it's a do or die year for a lot of people. It's a do or die year for everyone. So please get involved. Please stay safe. Please continue wearing a mask, and we'll see y'all next time.